on YouTube and also on Twitter, I asked the question if Kamala Harris had something called schizophasia, which would explain her word salads. In other words, it's a thought disorder. It's allied to schizophrenia. In other words, how can you account for these word salads that she keeps doing and that she seems to be unconscious of? In other words, she's not conscious that she can't communicate well and that she's communicating so poorly. So she's unconscious of it. She keeps doing it. Why? Well, there is something called schizophasia, and there's somebody on YouTube called Dr. Tracy Marks who talks about it. Now, since I did that today, what's been happening is that my TVs, I'm getting interference again with them, and this is a repetitive problem, and it's caused by our gang stalking FBI. I've been a gang stalking target since for about 18 years now. It's a Bush-Cheney program, and the FBI not only mobs you with conspicuous surveillance, in other words, they are allied with Citizen Corps, and these are people in the community who use red cars, red trucks, and mob you every place that you go. And in addition to that, they use unremitting harassment tactics. In other words, they get people surrounding you to gang stalk you, something called same time exit entry. You go out, a gang stalker is there. They use beeping, they use power equipment to harass you. And one thing that they do is interrupt your televisions. So all my TVs are fading in and out today, and this is after I made the comment and asked on Twitter and also on YouTube, does Kamala Harris, and she is the choice of our FBI, which is globalist. In other words, it kind of represents the global corporations that want to make a lot of money in China and places where they get cheap labor. And essentially, so they are really the enforcement arm of the globalist corporations. The Democrats, they're getting all their funding with the globalist corporations. And since I criticized Kamala Harris and I brought up this very sincere question, does she have schizophrenia? And is that the reason that she constantly talks in word salads? In other words, it's a thinking disorder. That's what's making her do it. And since I've been doing that, there's interference on my TVs. They fade, they go in and out. Now you'll notice since I said that, my TV got better. Okay, there it is, fading in and out. All right, that's what they do. Now, do they do it from the house attached to mine? I live in a twin house. It's attached to another house. Our garages are attached. Do they do it from the house attached to mine? We know that there were gang stalking police, and they were negotiating with the city manager of Stockton, California, and they didn't like what he did in the negotiations. So what they did was buy the house next to him, and this is on YouTube, and they specifically made construction noises to do this, unremitting harassment. This is what they do to gang stalking targets. This is what is happening to me, and it's beeping, it's same time exit entry, it's siren sounds when I go outside my house, go to put the garbage out, and it's interference with my TVs. So I made the comment on Twitter today and yesterday asking, does Kamala Harris, as an explanation for her word salads, that she has something called schizophasia? And Dr. Tracy Marks talks about this on YouTube. That's where I first learned about it, as I was looking at the different explanations of word salads on YouTube. And so I just asked that question. Is Kamala Harris, does she have a thinking disorder? Does that account for her frequent word salads? Now, this Dr. Tracy Marks helped the patient with medication. So if all of a sudden we see that Kamala Harris no longer does do word salads, then we have to ask ourselves, is she on medication for it? We'll have to keep saying, but of course she gives very rarely interviews where she has to do thinking. This is a thinking disorder. She mainly reads from a teleprompter, or like the debate, she memorizes things, and this is a thinking disorder. She can't engage in spontaneous conversations. Now, I don't know why, but I just happened to see this YouTube video by Dr. Tracy Marks on schizophrenia, and I just asked that question. And since I did, I'm getting interference on my TVs, which is something that the FBI and its Citizen Corps thugs do in their program of unremitting harassment. So the sound on my TV keeps fading in and out. That's what they do. Is there any oversight over the FBI in terms of its COINTELPRO type activities, which it's done since its inception practically? No, there's nobody that really checks to say how they are harassing citizens. And this is a program that started with Bush Cheney, and what they did was they rewrote the FBI guidelines so that now you could go after people with no suspicion of wrongdoing, which means whoever they want. And in my case, the way that this started was a fireman wanted us out of the neighborhood. Who does government gang stalking? Police, firemen, ambulance drivers, security guards, and Citizen Corps. Ordinary citizens who do what the FBI calls conspicuous surveillance mobbing. In other words, you go out of a store, a red car passes in front of you, you go into a store, somebody in red follows you in, and so it goes. It's mobbing. Go to my website, stopgangstalkingplease2.com, or the first website that I had before they made it so I couldn't post on that, stopgangstalkingplease.com. We should be able to have free speech. We should be able to ask questions about people who are running for president. And when somebody speaks constantly in word salads, we should be able to ask, does this person have schizophrenia or a thinking disorder? Is that why these word salads happen? And you shouldn't, for asking that question, have your television sets interfered with by the FBI, who possibly could be occupying the house attached to yours, next to yours, because that's what they did in Stockton, California, when gang stalking police were pissed at the city manager of Stockton, California. They bought the house next to him for the express purpose of harassing him. All right, so my TV keeps skipping, going in and out. Right after I made a comment asking a question about Kamala Harris, the globalist pick for president, our intelligence agencies' pick for president.